Hello, Azizam. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Persian, where I show you how I learn Persian so you can do the same. And as you notice, the first update that I have is an update about my house because I'm in a new place. So this is what I've done this week. You see on the left, you see the date. Then you see my journal. You see the amount of minutes and hours I've studied, the total amount of minutes this week, and then 3.73 hours for this week. And this week had actually 9 days because the last update was 9 days ago. And what I did, I'll go through it quickly. So the first day, I did nothing because we moved actually from one house to the next. Of course, it would have been possible, but I preferred not to because there was enough to do that day. Then the next day, immediately when we moved to the new house, I started with Ling languages. So not Link, but Ling. So this is what Ling languages looks like. And what I've been doing, I've been clicking on lessons and then going through the vocabulary. So they have beginner lessons, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, and even expert, which is quite special for an app to have expert and advanced Persian levels. And I did some tests here to see if it was really advanced, and it is really advanced. So that's very nice. But of course, mainly I'm focusing on the intermediate lessons, as you can see. So I did something related to places and locations. I did some occupations and workplaces, family members and mood. So it looks like this. If I go into shapes, for example, I can choose a lesson here. Let's do football. That's nice.
فوتبال توپ
Football.
فوتبال سیاه و سفید است.
And you can see you can change this. So you can use the Finglish or you can not use the Finglish, which I prefer, of course. And then you just move on to the
کره
exercises.
توپ
So here, now you have to click the right translation of football, or not translation, but in this case, transliteration, which is
فوت
football, of course. There's nice sounding audio too. So I do really like it. So that's what I'm using for 48 minutes. And then for 3 days, I did nothing, as you can see. Even though I promised each and every one of you to never let that happen again. It did happen again, but it was worth it, as you can read here, because I finished my book. So my book is a novel in simple Dutch. Okay, it's called Natuurlijk Nederlands van buiten naar binnenlander, level A1, B1. Read, listen, and learn 1500 words. This will be on the back of the book. Learn Dutch without studying? Then read my book. You can stop the video if you think it's interesting, and I will move on to Persian now. So the next day, I of course had to go and get into the flow again. So I was only able to listen for 15 minutes on the bike. Then I got into the flow. So for 66 minutes, I studied using Ling languages first. So just to learn some specific words. And then I read and listened a lot on Link, the app that I use to really read and listen to a lot of Persian. On Link, I'm now up to 3,760 and 76 words, which is going well. I'm reading the history of Iran, as you can see. So I'm going through this from 1, 2, 3, lesson by lesson. And after each lesson, there's a couple of questions that use the same words again. So that's very useful. And whenever I can, I try to listen to the same audio of this story. I try to listen to it again. I didn't do that this week, but I'm doing that definitely in general. Then the next day, I watched a series.
تو با سقف کاشانه من چه کردی؟
آفرین.
And then the next day, I learned some words again. So the word of the week has to be
دوره
because I'm reading, of course, about different kinds of periods in the history of Iran. And I'm also having different
دوره
in my life right now because I moved from one house to the next. I know that I'm going to be traveling in India, and I know that after India, I'm going to move to Spain and live there for a while. So that's also definitely a different
دوره
of my life, and I'm looking forward to this.
دوره
So it's going to be nice. Now, you can use this word like this,
دوره دشوار
or you can say this is a.
دوره دیوانه
Now, of course, please let me know your word of the week in the comments. And if you're Persian, please provide me and the other Persian learners with some example sentences. It was amazing what you showed us last time. All these responses are absolutely amazing. I did not respond to every single comment because there were just too many of them, but I did read every single one of them and learned a lot of Persian. So thanks, and please do it again for this video. So the main thing that I've learned this week is that actively recalling words really, really helps. And I know that because last video, of course, we had the word of the week, which was gunagun. And a couple of days later, I was teaching a Dutch student who is Iranian, and he asked me what a certain word in Dutch meant. And I translated immediately as guna gun. And that's only because I repeated it so many times. So that's very useful. And I would definitely recommend that you do not only learn with comprehensible input, but that you also do some kind of recalling activity. As, for example, using this app Ling that I've been talking about, or you can, of course, do flashcards, or you can just say something out loud. All of that is very, very useful. I'm also training my pronunciation by saying these things many, many times. And I'm thinking about certain families, word families in a different way. So gunagun, gunaguni, those kind of similar words are really useful to repeat many times because then you see that there's a pattern between how these words actually change when you use various, variety, those kind of little changes to a word stem actually stick better when you do not only learn it from context, but also actively repeat it. So I definitely recommend that. And I'll see you when our Persian is better. Khudafiz.